This is the Three Skeevers podcast.
All right, episode 21 of the Three Skeevers podcast with Grim from Grimsforge Gaming and myself, Icy with Icyfire Gaming. How you doing, Grim?
Good. How are you?
I am great. Just had to redo that intro there, but the part where I messed up, they won't know about it. So we're just gonna keep on trucking along here. We have a special guest today, Brah. We got this. How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Awesome. So what's on the docket for today, Grim?
Well, the first thing I think, let's talk about the announcement that they just extended the no proc testing for Cyrodiil. It's been pretty interesting. I was kind of excited to see that. Not that I spend a lot of time in Cyrodiil. I was excited to see it because the time that I was out there, you weren't getting proc down. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it was kind of introducing the days of old. You know, like Deltia's gaming, when he's been gone for 2 years and comes back and he's like, it's like I never left, you know, PvP out here, no proc sets. This is awesome. So I think that's good, but it's been interesting in Discord seeing other people and their opinions that differ from that, you know, like where's the build diversity, and, you know, these were helping, you know, kind of bridge the gap between, you know, skill and no skill and things like that. I thought it was pretty interesting. What's your take on that, Adam?
Yeah, I honestly have never played PvP without proc sets. So for me, it's like, I personally, I think I would be even worse than I am now at PvP, because I feel like the proc sets would help me, because I feel like you just need a lot of skill to play PvP, in my opinion, compared to other games. But I honestly, I need to give it a shot and try it while that's going on, because I wonder if I would actually be any better at PvP. But my first thing is I probably wouldn't, because I feel like I get so much more damage off my proc sets. So I honestly, though, just don't play a lot of it. So I'm interested to see what other people say, and if they like it without it or if they like it with it. So
What's your take on it, Icy?
So I guess with the extension going on and stuff, I think it's a cool idea. I can't really say I want to contribute too much to the conversation, because I honestly don't go to Cyrodiil even with these changes, hoping for improved performance, because that's always just been my thing. But I do like it that there's less proc sets. But what I'm curious about for the people that are complaining about this extension, if having no procs actually improves performance, would you rather have better performance and no procs, or worse performance with procs? Because I would certainly take the option with better performance, because I'd much rather see my death coming than dying for no reason. I don't know why. That's always been my thing.
I thought that was interesting. Gina, in her post yesterday, she said, we, you know, with the testing to this point, we found that by eliminating the procs, it hasn't affected performance for better or worse, but we are going to extend it to the third quarter, you know, the end of September. And then we are going to do some recoding and things like that to help increase performance. But their reasoning behind it was how much fun everybody, I guess it brought some fresh air to PvP in Cyrodiil. And so that was their kind of base reasoning behind it, was let's extend it. But for me, my thoughts are this. I'm kind of viewing Cyrodiil right now as the PTS, because if those changes stick beyond that, they're probably going to come to Imperial City, you know, and they'll probably come to BGs, which will hurt build diversity. But the reason being is I don't think that you want to confuse people. There's already a divide between PvE world and PvP world. And I would hate to see, okay, well, now there's new divides. There's PvE world, then there's Cyrodiil world, and only these sets are allowed in Cyrodiil. And then there's Battlegrounds, Dueling, and Imperial City world, where these things are allowed. And I think that might cause a lot of confusion on top of the new CP tree coming in and just all the weird stuff that's going on. So I will go out to Cyrodiil just to use it as a PT, the test server to see what it's going to be like in the future. But that's kind of my thoughts on it.
I guess for the Imperial City comment, if they did extend that no proc change to BGs in Imperial City, I'm not sure why they would want to, because right now, with procs being allowed in the Imperial City, performance is pretty good. It's always been pretty solid for the most part. But let's say that because of the no proc situation going on in Cyrodiil, we start to get an influx of people who want to actually PvP with procs. They start to come to Imperial City, and then the city starts popping, and then now the whole performance issue that we have with Cyrodiil now is in Imperial City. So now I could see like something happening in like 6-7 months from now, where the Imperial City is suffering from the same things that Cyrodiil used to be suffering from, and now they have justification to extend the whole no proc situation, because hopefully 6-7 months from now, say Cyrodiil does get better, and then why not extend it over to Imperial City? Which it would be interesting, but I have so many builds in the works right now that have, procs, not like Crimson procs, but they have, some sort of, whether it's a defensive proc or utility proc or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that build diversity is going to suck, but if it's for the sake of performance, I guess I'd be all right with it.
Yeah. So we can expect, are you on PC, NA, or EU, Adam?
I'm on NA.
NA. Okay. We need to run together, but
Yeah, no, for sure. I need some help. So please help me. Yeah, in PvP. Any tips I can get from y'all. So
we can expect you to run in the sewers with us if procs are allowed down there, or we can run Battlegrounds together. So that'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm kind of curious. Just real quick. So again, I'm not a huge PvPer, but did Gina say like that the coding would be extensive if they wanted to keep proc sets in Cyrodiil? Because my question is like, how long, like if they said like, hey, it's going to take us like 6 months to like fix the performance with new code, do you think people would be like happy with that in PvP community? Like, you know what I mean? Or like, I don't know. For me, it's like, I would be cool if I was like a huge PvPer, if this was like a PvE issue, and they were like, yeah, it'll take us some time. I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, as long as you need with that. But I don't know. I was just kind of curious if she said anything about that or not.
I personally haven't heard anything, but just to reply to your thing, I don't see why people would be upset with that, because right now, with all the issues that we have, people still log in every day to play. And so if now they make a change and they actually said they're working on improvements, like they're doing their best, and let's just say they are doing their best, because we could just take their word from it, who knows what they're actually doing. Yeah, I would imagine they'd be all right with it.
Yeah, I would want to make sure, because what she did say was there was going to be some recoding, rework for performance issues. I would want to make sure that they don't string it out for 6 months and then whatever they do recoding wise has zero effect at all, because I don't want to get to a point where they're losing their consumers' faith or trust. There's a lot of that, I think, already kind of going around with performance and things like that. So what's going on in Cyrodiil does kind of spice it up a little bit. It's a change for people, and 6 months is kind of a long time. So hopefully there is a light at the end of the tunnel as far as performance goes. But if there's not, that's probably going to be a really rough 6 months from now, and it's still doing the same stuff, that's going to be pretty bad. But
Right. That makes sense.
another weird thing about this too, before we dive into your channel and everything, is the mythic items and things like that are currently not able to be used in Cyrodiil 2. So we have these things that they're behind a paywall, right? The mythic items are behind a paywall. They're powerful. Ring of the Wild Hunt, Malakat's Band, Pale Order. These things are powerful. They're cool. And now the PvP community can't use them in Cyrodiil. So if they want to make use of them, they need to go to Imperial City or Battlegrounds to use those. Hopefully, I think it's weird that they would keep it like that, because like I said, now all of a sudden we've got Cyrodiil, with its own rules, and then we would have Battlegrounds and Imperial City with its own rules too. But maybe that is the answer. I don't know, because I don't think that you want to risk taking mythics away from your PvP community, right? That would hurt your, pre-sales and purchases in the future, I would think.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, because I think most of the mythics, for the most part, can be used in PvP situations, probably with the exception of Ring of the Pale Order. I think most of them would be used for PvP.
Do you
Just
use
thinking about it.
Malakat's Band on anything, Adam?
I actually don't, but I was making a build for PvE with Bloodlord's Embrace, actually. Because I like to do kind of interesting PvE builds, but I've not used Malakath. I've used Ring of the Pale Order on PvE. And I don't think I've used anything else, but I never even really thought of that, to be honest, about it, how it was kind of behind a paywall for PvP. That's a good point. I just never even thought of that. Especially if you can't use them, in Cyrodiil. That's really interesting, actually. Didn't think about that.
And I guess to Grim's point, I guess the mythics are powerful, but they're not necessary. You'd be fine just fighting with monster helms or 3-piece, 5-piece, whatever.
Yeah. Well, take the Vatashran Destro staff right now. Like, I think everybody in the PvP realm has kind of noticed that thing needs tuned, it needs adjusted. And you shouldn't be able to have multiple procs on a single target. Like, if I'm running around and Adam and you both have the Vatashran staff, you both shouldn't be able to get the Ghostbusters beam on me and melt me. So so they kind of need to address that. But that's another thing that is behind a wall that PvPers are really want to use right now.
That's a good point. That's the one where you use weakness, right, to elements, and it does the beam? Okay.
Yeah, it's a very strong beam, and anything in between the target and you also takes the damage. So there's your next beam. Or your next build. You can make a Peter Vakeman or something from Ghostbusters.
That's awesome.
I wonder when they created that particular weapon, or that Vatashran weapon, during the testing phases, they put it on somebody and they were like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I wonder if they ever thought to like put multiple, like just have a couple people and put it on somebody, and then they're like, "Wow, that's a lot of damage. This is gonna be awesome." Like, what? I wonder if there was any sort of play testing that involved a 1v4 with 4 people running that weapon, just to see what would happen. And then if it ever also came across their mind that, what are the chances of like 6 people on the live server running this? Probably next to none.
Yeah, I've been running around on a beast down in the sewers, like a really, really strong build, a Stamden, and had four guys with that. All 4 of them got that beam on me. Nothing I could do.
Dang, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
So let's talk about your channel. It looks like you created your channel about 5 years ago. I guess let's talk about the thought process in creating your channel, and then how that evolved, and then at what point did you come into ESO?
Yeah. So me and my friend Joe, one of my best friends growing up, we went to the same college and senior. Actually started doing some YouTube recording before senior year of college. I really wanted to do that, and I was just interested. And the videos weren't too great, but I found that I started having a passion a little bit for that, and so senior year, uh, me and Joe were like, we should create like a YouTube channel that focuses on guides, helping people get trophies. Back in the day, like when PS4 had when everyone used to get trophies and achievements and stuff like that for Xbox and stuff, and like just kind of like doing it in a fun way, like, hey, we'll show you how to do this, like, don't worry. But even though we're both like mediocre at gaming, like some games we're pretty good at, but other games were not great. And so we created a channel like that with like let's plays and guides, and really focused on Destiny a lot, and just different let's plays, and that's kind of how we started that up. And I can talk, more about that in depth if you've got more questions exactly with that. But that's kind of how the initial startup was, and we made a lot of content for about 2 years pretty consistently, and then it kind of fell off and everything. So
Was that Destiny 1 or Destiny 2?
Destiny 1, I played Destiny 1 since beta, and we put so many hours, like, because that was my senior year, so we raided like every day. Like, we met really good friends we're still friends with that lived in like Europe, and we used to raid with them. We had like every item. It was so fun, but mainly Destiny 1.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think I played the beta for a little bit, and then yeah, I was playing Destiny 1 for the entire duration. What was your favorite raid back then?
Favorite raid, it was probably Vault of Glass. I liked King's Fall as well. uh Crota was fun because we could two-man it, but like I really liked Vault of Glass. That was just like so nostalgic, and love the weapons in that raid. So
Yeah, I think I was a big fan of the, I think it was called Wrath of the Machine.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that the one with I forget the dude's name at the end.
yeah. It
Uh,
had Siva, I think, in it.
yeah,
Had
yeah,
that.
yeah, the big Siva boss. Yeah, because I think at the final boss, like there were so many moments that you could, I guess we call them like hero moments, where
Mhm,
half the team could die, and now you have to adjust accordingly, and then everyone has to take different roles to just finish out the raid and stuff, because there were no revives when you're doing it in a hard mode and stuff. So oh
mhm.
man, so many good times. I love D1.
Yeah, it was wonderful, and we loved making content for it and stuff too. And but yeah, that's kind of how it started and everything. But yeah.
And you came on to ESO like right at the beginning, or how did you make the transition from Destiny to ESO?
So I started playing ESO. It had to be in 2015. No, I played in 2014, I think, too. But I actually started playing ESO, and I quit after I got to level 20 something on a sorcerer. And I was so overwhelmed. And I picked it back up in 2016, very beginning around January, I think. And that's when they had the one Tamriel update. And I made my first guide, and it was a beginner guide. And I remember it got like, over time, it got like 20,000 views, and it like was really like popular, besides me saying the word all the time. And every 5 seconds, people were like roasting me in the comments, and they were like, let's take a shot every time he says and it's just like, I got roasted, and it was pretty funny. But it actually did really well. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a crafting guide next. And then I didn't make another video for like 3 years. So it was like that's kind of where I started ESO, but really didn't pick up until I November. I think it was my first video of kind of just this whole long, or like this whole growth period that I've had. Started in 2019. I think it was at the end of November I released a video, and then ever since then I released 2 videos a week, really. and that's kind of when I started back ESO. But that from that period to like I think it was January 2016, that was my first ever ESO video. So
Yeah, I did have to say we talked about this before we started recording here, but looking at your channel and the videos and your content, I really like where you're at space-wise. Like your content is something that not a lot of content creators are doing. It makes it very unique. Like they might do it, but they only sprinkle in this type of content into what they do, and they're more builds, they're more guides on trials and stuff. But you're where you're at, you know, you're talking about how to do the complete guide for the morpholith, you know,
yeah, it's so hard to
quest
say.
line, and how to do the tribunal celebration event guide, and don't forget to do these things before update 29, and why you need to log in now. And you have all these really cool things that I just don't see other content creators doing. So my hat goes off to you on that. Very creative.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. We talked, yeah, like you said a little bit before, but one of my biggest, I didn't say this before, but one of my biggest reasons why I kind of wanted to make guides was because I quit the game, in 2014, 2015, because I was so overwhelmed and I literally had no idea what was going on. And, when I came back, I actually watched Deltia some, and I watched some of his guides and his builds, and that helped me kind of have some inspiration a little bit and everything. But like I, I was just like, I want to try to help people not quit the game after level 25, because I'm like, this game's got so much stuff in it that's really cool. Like I'm just learning stuff every day. I do new things every day, I feel like, and I don't know. I just wanted to help people kind of get past that initial phase of feeling overwhelmed. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. That it's working. I love what I see on your channel. So it stands to reason then your favorite aspect of content creating for ESO is going to be geared towards the PvE side. However, you did say that when you're streaming over on Twitch that your fans, they like to watch you do PvP.
yeah. PvE is definitely my favorite. I love working towards like beating hard content together as a team. It started with Destiny and stuff, and I love it in ESO. But yes, my Twitch stream trolls me all the time. Sometimes I hold community dueling tournaments and I participate and I get absolutely just annihilated. And they just love watching me. Like I'll like be on my horse in Cyrodiil and I'll like be like, all right, y'all, we're gonna fight some people today. And then like I'll see someone and I'll just like rapid maneuver away from them. And I'll just like I'll just go the other way. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need to get this quest done. Like it's just like they always just like roast me like how bad I am. Like I just go in with like a PvE build. I don't even have like a PvP build really. So it's just like it's just so bad. But yeah.
That's funny. So they're like, hey, we want to watch you do Battlegrounds today, or we want to watch you do Cyrodiil, and you're like, here we go.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And people will like come in from my community and they'll like stream snipe me for fun. Like it's I don't really care. It's kind of funny, but they'll like see that I'm like on PvP because I'll tell them in guild chat and they'll just like be like hiding behind something. And then it's just like a game kind of. We just like play like PvP for like 45 minutes, just like killing our own guild mates. Like it gets pretty funny. But
That sounds awesome. um, so with your channel, do you handle every aspect of that from thumbnails to editing to everything? Like, is that all you?
yes, I do all of that. Currently working on, I actually have a guy that I've brought on that is helping me with completely revamping my website actually, and it's looking fantastic. And he's going to be helping me with some other aspects. But yes, I do all the thumbnails, all the editing, all the recording. Yeah. So
Did you go
That's
to
a,
school?
what's up?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's awesome, dude. That you do like all like every aspect of it. That's pretty sweet.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you go to school for any of that, or was this literally you learned on the job?
I actually did go to school for graphic design. So it's funny because like yeah, like basically I went to school for graphic design. Worked in the field for a little while. Didn't really work out, so I still work like a day job, and I actually work for like a engineering firm. I work outside and stuff with like on like job sites and stuff. But graphic design is something that I did like. I just never could get it to stick. And I was like, I wonder if I'm ever going to use this. And then like I started doing this. And so I made like my logos, like all the graphics you see in my channel besides the constellation art. Um, that is actually hired by an ESO artist she does art on like the Reddit page. She's like really good. And besides that though, all the art I made and I learned video editing in college, throughout college. So I learned all that and already. So yeah, that's all stuff that I've done. So
Oh, I like that image. Now every time I look up in the sky, I'm going to see your beard up there.
yeah. She did a great job. She did a great job. I love the constellation art style anyways in the game. I think it's really cool. Really love the new CP art style. So yeah.
Do you have any favorite content creators, like other people you like watching?
Yeah, so do you mean like with ESO or just in general?
Both. Yeah, what you got?
Both. Okay. So in ESO, I would say one of my favorite content creators is it actually used to be so it was Deltia, right? Like, and he's come back now, which is awesome. Because I really liked his stuff. I also really liked Kev Do It. I thought he was a really funny guy. I used to watch his like just his. I just always thought he had such an interesting take on how to make a guide and everything. And then, but currently, like in general, I would say that I do watch a lot of Zynode. I like just some of his builds and I don't get to watch Twitch very often when it comes to that just because I don't have a lot of time. But his videos I really do enjoy. I think he does explain things pretty well. Um, but for non ESO, I definitely say that my favorite content creator is probably Tim the Tap Man. Because in my opinion, I crack up a lot on his stream. His chat trolls him all the time. That's what my chat does. And like he's kind of got this knack of being mediocre at video games. And it's kind of the same for me. Like my chat always just makes me know that. And it's just like, I don't know. I really enjoy watching him. So, but yeah.
We should do a collaboration together sometime and do PvP, and the three of us just kind of run around and get killed together. That would be awesome.
I'd love that. I'd literally, yeah, I'd love to do some collabs for sure.
Kev Do It was on our last episode, and I think he's going to hop into ESO and do a couple funny videos. You know, he's not. It doesn't seem like he's gone. You know, forever when he leaves. It's just he's got so many other games, so many other projects on his plate. But you should totally challenge Kev Do It to a rap battle or dance off or something, and that would make for great content.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would be really funny. I saw that he was on y'all's show last week and you told me that too. That's awesome. I would love to do something with that with him. I think I'm actually doing something with Deltia coming up. We've been talking a little bit, but I'd love to do something with Kev Do It too. That would be funny. He cracks me up.
Yeah, he's here in the Discord, in the Grimsforge Gaming Discord. You could just message him at any point and just say,
yeah.
you know, I challenge you, sir, to a rap battle, you know, and then throw down the gauntlet.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, can you share any stories with us when you felt like you leveled up, whether it be from a content creator or inside the game, like you felt your skill set was getting better?
Yeah. So one thing that comes to mind for content creation that I can definitely share is for me, in general, I would say that this has been a big process for me and a learning process. And, if anyone's out there that wants to do a content creation, the biggest advice I could give you is like, just make content, and you have to just learn from your mistakes and learn, like, it's about the quality of the content. And like, if you keep getting better and better, it's just going to get better over time. But, I really struggle, and I struggled with speaking fluently, if that makes sense. Like, I would just have a lot of ums, like I said, my first ESO video, people used to roast me all the time. And like, I didn't have very like cohesive sentences and very fluid sentences. And so my videos early on in 2019 and then early 2020, they're okay. I don't like them when I look back at them, but something where I really feel like I got better as a content creator is I started just writing scripts. And so I write scripts for basically every video I make, um, except for some build videos where I'll write like a outline and then I'll kind of just ad lib, what I'm saying, because it's really hard to like look at a script and like talk about like, this is the passive that you need, you know what I mean? And so like for me, that's one of the biggest things that helped me with content creation. And I think that helped my channel a lot. And people to stay on my video longer, and kind of follow it. Because before I just felt like it wasn't fluid. And that just really helped me. So that's an ESO, or that's a content creation level up. Um, and then an ESO one, I'm trying to remember. I think for ESO, really just getting in a trial. For me, I used to be afraid of trials, like when I was like starting out and everything, but really just starting to get in a trial showed me that I could do harder content in PvE. And then I started doing DLC dungeons, and those were just so fun. Like those are some of my favorite things. They're just so well designed and very challenging. I love challenges and stuff. But really just kind of putting myself out there to not be afraid to be like social with people that I don't know. And that kind of helped me become a better ESO player, I would say. So those are two things that come to mind right off the bat.
I think that's pretty cool about the learning to speak more fluent or coherent, I guess, because I can totally relate. When me and Grim first did our first episode, I think we had also recorded the second one, and when I was listening to the second one before we aired it, I said, Grim, I can't even stand listening to myself, man. I would just be talking myself into like my own little rat wheel, and I could barely get a word out because I was just like it's just
Mhm.
so it was so bad and horrendous that I demanded that we redo the second episode. And then it was just like a dramatic improvement because one of the guys I work with at my job, he's big into Toastmasters, and it's just like a group of people all over the world that just their thing is just learning how to speak well. And he said it's okay to pause and okay to take your time to gather your thoughts and then spit out something that's coherent. So, and one of the reasons why I like doing the podcast with Grim is because it helps me get more opportunity to learn how to speak well, where I'm not just tripping over myself like I used to. So
Mhm.
I think it's pretty cool. I could totally relate because when you said that your audience was roasting you, dude, I was roasting myself so hard it wasn't even funny, man. Oh Christ! But I'm glad that I did back then, because if I can do it to myself, then when people do it to me, it's like, yeah, I know already, and I'm working on it, so it's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think the best thing to do is just, if someone is, if people do struggle like myself and you with that, like, it's just to kind of laugh it off and just like kind of realize like, hey, I just need to get better at this. And because it makes the quality a lot better. And and that's just something you have to be, is like self-aware of that. And that's pretty cool that you like were self-aware of that in the second episode. thing.
Oh yeah, like it was really bad, dude. I like what's bad when you can't even stand to listen to yourself. Yeah, you got a lot of work to do. Yeah.
We already told you that we don't like to do a whole lot of editing, right? One takes the fun
Yeah.
take, but for him to message me and say, "Yeah, that we can't we can't use that. Please don't use that." It was really something that was bothering him.
Yeah.
I say a lot too. I do a lot of public speaking with my coaching job and stuff like that, and my consulting and traveling and stuff. So something that I've noticed is this. I've done videos in the past too, and maybe these videos are a little bit more podcast like delivery, like you're establishing a thought process. Here's the why. And
Mhm.
sometimes getting to that point, getting to where the why is, takes a little bit of time of elaboration, right? You have to
Mhm.
elaborate the thought process to get to the why. And at the end of the day, not everyone is going to be part of your tribe. They're just not going to like that delivery, and there's nothing you can do about it. I run into this all the time at the gym when I'm explaining the why. Here's why we do this move right here, right now. Here's how you do the arm bar. Here's how you escape the arm bar. Here's how you do this combination. Here's how you get out of a tie clinch. Like, we're talking about all these whys, and it takes a moment to get to that point. And there'll always be 1, 2, or 3 people in the room that are just staring at you, and you can tell that they're like, okay, let's go. I want to get to the part where I'm actually doing the armbar to someone or doing the whatever. And they don't care about the why. They don't care about the thought process that it took to get to that point. And so not everyone's going to be a part of your tribe, and don't let that. Like I said, I did a video and a guy left a comment in there and he said, Jesus, do you even edit these things?
Dang,
And
yeah.
yeah, but you can't let that. You do you, and make micro adjustments along the way, and like, you're doing a great job, so I wouldn't let anybody get you down.
Appreciate that. Yeah, and that's a good point. And because I feel like I'll create a video and there's just always someone in the comments, that'll just be a troll. And it's just kind of funny sometimes. And I'm just like, yeah, well, like you can't please everyone kind of thing. And everything. But I actually thought of I just thought of another thing too with the level up for content creation. And this, so I just have to say this because it's like it was a big influence for me. And I actually came across a guy. He's pretty popular now, but is Harris. He runs the Alpha Gaming channel, and
Fair poet. Yeah.
yeah, and he's got a lot of great content. And I passively just kind of like I was kind of doing some things he already said to kind of help grow your content. But I kind of just passively picked up things that he was doing, and I was like, I'm just gonna try this, and like in my videos, and I started doing some of it, and like it seemed like that, along with me writing scripts, was like really a big thing that helped. And I don't know, he's got a lot of great stuff, and he's really encouraging and stuff too. But I just had to mention that because like I can't not mention that because that was a big thing. So I just remembered that.
Yeah, I think Alpha Gaming's probably one of my influences as well. Like, I'll go and watch all the different content he releases and kind of glean what information I can and try and execute. I do this all on the side. My YouTube channel and this is all kind of done on the side, but I really like to see Harris's take on everything. He's so knowledgeable. Did you see that he's going to be transitioning from Alpha Gaming to Senpai?
Yeah, I did see that, and he built like that whole like studio thing too, which was cool.
Yeah, so amazing. And then, so if you are a content creator too, you can get copyright-free music from him. And I'll have to remember the link for it too, but basically you would never get any type of copyright claims against you if you use his music in your background. So it's pretty cool.
Mhm. Agreed. I think it's Stream Beats. I think
Yeah, Stream Beats, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. So before we move on, going down our different questions here, can you tell us about the name? Brah, we got this. How did you get the name?
Yeah, I just remember that too. I was like, I think you asked me that before, and I didn't say anything about it. But yeah, so it's kind of man, I kind of feel like it's kind of climactic, but really, like, it's so funny. Like, I was sitting in my house at college, and like when me and Joe came up with this thing that we wanted to do, we were just like talking on the phone. He lived on campus, and really there was like no thought process that went into this. It was just kind of like the first thing that came to mind. But like we were like, okay, so our channel is going to be like let's plays, guides. We're going to be like kind of funny, hopefully, and like kind of being like, hey, don't worry, we got this. But we used to tell each other, like, when we play Destiny or any type of game, we just tell each other like, hey man, bro, I got this. Like, don't worry. Like, if one of us died, like, and they needed like a res, we'd be like, dude, bro, we got this. Like, don't worry. And like we just like say that. And Joe was just like, why don't we just do bro, we got this? Like, it was like his first idea. And I was like, I kind of in my mind, I was like, man, there's no way that's gonna stick. I was like, that's such an odd name. Like, I was like, how do you make a logo for that? Like, how do you like brand that? I'm just like, I don't know. And then I was just like started thinking again. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. I was like, it's probably not gonna last or something, but I was like, let's just do it. And because it kind of was like what we wanted to be about in our channel. And that's seriously how the name came to be. And it's so funny because like we just get so many people. One of our goals when we made that was just we wanted to have a community, and we've built that now, and it's awesome to see. But like it's just so funny because people will be like, yo, I love your name. And like, they'll be like, they like call me Brah and like all this other stuff. And like, it just kind of worked. And people are like, they don't, it's a very odd name, but they're like, they like it. And I'm like, this is so funny. It's just kind of funny because Joe and me have like a running joke all the time about like, who's right about stuff. And Joe's just like, dude, he's like, I was right. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny because I just never thought it would be something that stuck. So
It's brilliant. It really is, because it doesn't tie you to any specific genre or any specific game. It just so happens that ESO is where the bulk of your content comes from right now, and you're building your brand through that. But when you look at your merchandise, and you got ball caps that say Brah, and hoodies and stuff, that's something that people can buy. They can buy that whether they're an ESO fan or not.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they could be walking around on the beach, whatever, rocking your hat, and people are like, "Ooh, look at that cool hat." So I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we got a lot of changes coming up. In just a couple days, 2 days from now. What's your thoughts on everything to this point? Are you scared? Have you been on the PTS? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so been on the PTS a good bit. Thoughts on the changes first. I'm not too scared. I'm actually really excited for a change. Just because I feel like I do love the diversity of builds in ESO for the most part. Like, I know if you go with like meta builds, maybe there's not as many diverse builds in PvE at least. But I really feel like this year, especially with the CP change and companions later on, I really think that it's going to open it up even more. Like, I think that you're going to see just really glass cannon type builds or like balanced builds, maybe hybrid builds, and I honestly I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like exactly. I've started making builds. I'm going to have videos on them. I've already had one come out, but like I'm excited to see kind of where everything shifts to. Just my first kind of take on that.
Yeah. So can you give us, without telling us what armor sets, can you give us the stats on one of your builds? Like, are you impressed with the stats that you can achieve through the new champion points, or is that still up in the air?
Yeah, I actually have been kind of surprised. One thing that I can tell you a little bit about it if I can remember off the top of my head, but one thing that I have seen, it seems like for crit chance at least, or crit spell critical or weapon critical, I haven't been able to achieve as high of a crit I don't know if you guys have been able to, or maybe I'm just missing something, but I've noticed, with them updating like the base stats, kind of across the board, you're getting like more health in general and DPS, and like, you're getting more of, every stat in a way. But something that I am excited for, excuse me, is so what was that build? I think it's a Nightblade. It's a Nightblade. I can kind of just say it, but like it's like a Nightblade hybrid build, and it's like a tank healer, and it its stats are like, I'm hitting like, I think I'm hitting like only, I'm probably hitting over 40 something K health, but my stamina is like 25K, I want to say, and my magic is like close to 20K or something like that. And it's like you could just stand, like you can literally, this build, you can just stand in like a mob of enemies forever and you just like won't die. It's just like it's awesome. Like all the proc sets are just like so cool for it. And it's just something that like I'm really excited to share with people, but I've noticed that the base stats are just so beefy. And I don't know if you guys have too, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed. I did 3 builds yesterday, and 2 of the builds I had to take a screenshot and I shared it in our Discord. One of them's a Magplar, and it's got 5,700 spell damage, 3,300 magic recovery, 2,400 stamina recovery, 1,800 health recovery, and it'll have like 3,300 or 33,000 health. And I think the max magicka is only about 28,000, 27,000, but with 3,300 magic recovery, like, and I'm actually using a two-hander greatsword on it. I'm not even
Oh,
using,
nice.
yeah, I could spam sweeps, spam all my abilities with that type of magic recovery, and I had 0 problems doing it with a two-hander on a Magplar. And so that build's going to be really, really scary.
That's
I
that's awesome.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some like really crazy, we'll be able to break 10K weapon damage. I did a build yesterday that has over 10K health recovery, and yeah, we're going to see some really crazy extremes. And so I think that will help with build diversity, I guess, or help with diversity in the game, is that we're exploring the outer realm, of what we can accomplish through CP now.
Right. Right. I agree. And that's something else that's a good thing you mentioned, that was the recovery. I did mention, I did notice that a lot too. Just like being able to sustain so much longer without having as high of like a magicka or something like that. So that
Yeah.
was really interesting.
I think you were right too. So I think hybrids have always been a thing, but it's always been very hard. I did a Thor hybrid build not too long ago, and then for me, I do low BBGs on them, like a teaser, and then low BBGs around level 45 or 40, and then I do a in-game build, and then proof of life. Here's it in action in battlegrounds, and hybrids have been a thing. It's just one of the hardest things to pull off successfully in PvP, and but I think with the champion point situation that's coming up and the way things are lining up, we could possibly see an emergence of some really, really strong hybrid builds. So that's exciting.
Mhm. I do agree. I'm wondering, has it been as hard to do hybrids for you guys in PvP as it is technically in PvE, or do you think it's different in that way?
The problem with hybrids in PvP are right between level 40 and 50, skills start to taper off. Like you start to plateau a little bit, and like your low level stat boosts and things like that start falling off, and you start getting a real good picture of what you are not going to be able to do end game. And so then there's meta builds. You were talking about this earlier, we might as well talk about it, but in PvE, when you're talking about there's specific sets, there's not a whole lot of them, but if you want to be meta and operate it with the highest possible parse or whatever, you need to run with these sets. That same thing happens in dueling for the classes on the PvP side. If you want to be absolutely, performing at optimal level, so dueling kind of winds down to meta, skill set as well, but it winds down to meta and a combination of skill set. Open world's different. So like Imperial City and Cyrodiil, it's a kind of gray area. You could run the meta dueling builds, but still be effective, but not as effective in outnumbered situations, because some of the meta dueling builds have amazing damage and burst potential, but they lack in the recovery area. And then when they run into outnumbered fights, now all of a sudden you're having to fight 10 people with limited resource regen, and that gets a little tough. And so that's kind of what happens on the PvP side of things. But
Okay.
yeah, I think we're going to see the hybrid. We're going to see hybrids for sure, and they were hard to this point. I've tried it on every class, and I've only been able to pull it off like 2 or 3 times. Nightblades being one of them, and sorcerers being another. But I think we're going to be able to pull it off on every class moving forward.
Yeah, I think so too, and it makes me excited. I'm excited for some changes. I'm interested to see too where they go with the different subtrees in CP. I know they have like 2 right now in the blue one, but really interested to see how that goes. So
Yeah, I noticed that I couldn't assign those on those subtrees. You can pick them up, and I guess the subtrees, anything you pick up there, you gain those bonuses or those effects. Couldn't actually drag and drop them up into the 4 little slots at the top. So
yeah, and I've noticed the only ones you can drag, they have a different color. That's just something I've tried to keep in mind. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. How noticeable is that? Because I know like there's the regular passes, but then you have the slottable passes, 4 per color at the top.
I can tell you this, the way I was able to hit 5,700 spell damage is in that particular tree, 3 of the 4 slotted, 3 out of the 4 are giving me additional spell damage. So if it weren't for those, and it's like 150 or 160 per, so that's a difference maker.
So how much CP did you actually need to achieve that number? Because I wouldn't think you're using up the whole 1200 just to get to that.
I don't think so, but the real answer is no clue, because I was just trying to put a monster together, and I was like, ooh, I got 3,600 CP. I'm going to put a monster together, but I didn't really keep track. So maybe I should go in and say, hey, I can get these 3 with a minimum expense of X amount of CP. I need to look at that and see.
Copy.
Outside of what they've announced for changes with the CP tree, and then maybe some potential recoding and stuff like that for 6 months from now, are there any other changes that you'd like to see with the classes, or what's on your wish list? If it were Christmas, what would you ask for?
Oh man, I could really go in on this. Like
We'll say top 3 on your wish
3.
list.
So yeah, and I think I've made a few videos on some of this stuff, but I would say one of the biggest, so I do really love fashion. I love fashion scrolls, like housing. I love all that. I love earning stuff, right? I love to see really cool motifs, I love just the customization. So I personally, I'll try to summarize this in one thing. I'd like to see some more earnable cosmetics that we could augment things with. So for instance, you know, if you do like, I would like earnable mounts. I made a whole video on this. Some people liked it, some people didn't, whatever. I would personally like more earnable mounts, just because I would like to, like, they make such good art in this game that like the mounts look fantastic. And I'm like, what if you had mounts for like every theme of dungeon, like in Vaults of Madness, if you beat that, if you like no death that, you get like a chance at getting a like Shigorith like style mount or something, you know, like just like kind of cool things like that. But also like ways to maybe like make things look animated and stuff that you could earn as well by doing challenges, you know, achievements, PvP, PvE, you know, you name it. So like, you know, making, you know how like how the Alkosh set, you have like the cool starry effect and stuff. Like I wonder if there'd be ways they could add to where like you could, you know, earn something to augment certain weapons and like certain armor types and stuff like that. That's like a really big thing for me. And a lot of people probably don't care about that. But for me, that's one of the biggest things. Another thing that I'd like to see is I would like to see maybe them do something with monster sets and maybe make monster set weapons. Like kind of how they have arena weapons and stuff. Like I'd like to see maybe if they could make a two-piece, like just like a weapon in each dungeon that you could get as well. That is a different, that might have like a different name. Like it doesn't have to be the same monster or whatever. It could be maybe the final boss and like the boss drops the weapon. Um, I just like to see maybe something different there. Just because like that would be really interesting. I'd be interested to see what they do with that. That might cause a whole crazy type of thing, right? In PvP or something or PvE, but I don't know, just something with that. And then when it comes to classes and stuff, I personally like the classes they have. I'd like to see another class, to be honest. But a big thing, this isn't to do with classes. I kind of like, I kind of, in one of my videos before the new year, I speculated that with the Gates of Oblivion coming, I speculated that maybe Gates of Oblivion were going to be time trial based events, like a roguelike dungeon type thing. And they haven't given too much information on this, but they did say that they are going to spawn randomly and you do have to go in. And so I'm really interested to see if they do something with that. I would love to see some type of like time trial event style content in the game. I think that Gates of Oblivion would be an awesome way to do that because that's kind of like, you know, you got to close the gate kind of thing. And they could do that in PvP, you know, and like maybe people can go in there with you and kill you or something. But those are some big things. You guys can tell me what you think. But yeah, that's like my Christmas wish list. So
Did you have a particular idea of a class that you would like for them to introduce?
for class, I think it's between two of them for me. I would love to see a like some sort of mech class, like a dwarven class that's got like almost like a what is that called? It's like a witch doctor kind of, I guess, but like a something that's like it's got a lot of utility and like buffs and debuffs. Um and then that or a I'm torn between like a spellblade or like a bard. And I know bard sounds funny, but those are the two that I've kind of been going between. So
Yeah, I've heard the bard class idea thrown out a lot, but I've never heard of the dwarven class before. That actually sounds like it might be pretty cool. Maybe make it a tech-based class or something where it uses a lot of traps or things you have to put down and set up and stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Or even maybe kind of like a Sork where it's got pets. You got like a dwarven spider. You've got the dwarven all the random automatons, and then one of your ultimates can be a centurion that you throw down too. That'd be kind
yeah,
of cool. So it'd be like a storm atronach, but it's actually mobile, and you could actually run around with it and control it and stuff.
yeah,
That'd be kind of cool.
yeah. I love that. That's kind of the idea. Is like kind of like an engineer class. Sort of.
Yeah, instead of using a bow, like he would use like this Dwemer blunderbuss, like sawed-off shotgun type thing.
Actually, I think you hit it right there. An engineer class and it would have dwarven type mechanics and stuff. I think that would be it. An engineer class. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. What about a monk? You know, the new dungeon that has a monk boss that's doing like martial arts. What about that?
Yeah, I've thought about that. There's a lot of people on my channel that really would like to see a monk. Personally, some people might not like this, but I find a monk class to be kind of boring in my opinion. Melee's cool. I think it's cool to be able to make like it'd be like, just like a one hit KO kind of class, like where you just like punch stuff. I think that's really cool. But in general, it seems kind of boring to me. And I would be interested. If they introduce a new class, I'd love to try it and I will give it a shot. But when I look at that, I'm like, I think I'd like more of an engineer. I want to play around with like technology and just like set traps, kind of like you said. Like I don't know, but that's just me. So
Grim, it sounds like he hasn't gone boxing in his bathrobe in Deshaun yet.
Yeah. There's our first outing of the
oh
group play.
gosh,
Yep.
Nordic bath towel. Funny.
When you were talking about the mounts, like achievable mounts or things that you can get, and you mentioned Sheogorath, both you guys close your eyes. Picture this with me. It's Sheogorath, and you're sitting on his shoulders, and he's doing the high step run. Sheogorath is the mount.
I love that.
Yeah. Could you imagine? I would laugh pretty hard if I saw somebody riding that mount through Cyrodiil, and he's doing the high step clown, the jester run. That's it right there. We got to add this to the game. Make it happen.
It's kind of like that mount that already exists with it's just a stick and it's got the horse on top.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah. And just think of the interaction with him too. He could be saying funny things, while you're riding him around. I think that would be funny.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
So I'm just gonna throw this in there too. What do you think about the companion system coming out? That I'm actually kind of pumped for that.
Yeah. I'm excited. Like I said, like I love ESO and I really like how they keep things fresh. So anything they update the game with, I'm always willing to give it a shot. The companion stuff, I'm like really curious about it. I know what it like. I know I've looked at other games and I've kind of tried to get an idea of like what it's like, but I think that's going to change the game a lot. Like solo builds are going to be interesting. Like if you can just like hand them like a full set of armor that's like like what you have on, it's just like, and if they're like actually like kind of smart and they know how to use, what I mean, if they actually are like good, like it's like dang, like this is going to be interesting. Like so I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what that brings to the game and what kind of things people can push with that, like what kind of limits they can push. So
Yeah, I know I don't know too much about it, but the way I envision it, which would be kind of OP, is they have access to all the gear that we can all wear. So you could craft them or reconstruct whatever gear you want and put it on them, and then you can set them as just like you could change your role as a tank, healer, or DPS. You can set the role that they want, and then outfit them with whatever gear that you want them to have, and then maybe not give them a back bar, front bar setup, just have them on one bar type thing, and then you can pick the skills based on whatever it is that they're wearing. Well, I guess if they actually have a class, then yeah, that'd be more broken. But if they just get the weapon abilities for whatever role that you have them assigned as, then you can kind of program their rotation and do certain things that you want them to do. I think that'd be kind of cool, but it might also be pretty broken too. So
yeah, I agree that's kind of how I see it coming, going down as well. I'm just curious to see, like you said, like how are they going to balance stuff, like how it's going to be interesting. Definitely a lot of learning. So
Yeah, my companion's not going to like me at all because I'm gonna get them killed many times. We're gonna solo every vet dungeon. We're gonna, as far as we can until mechanics become an issue. We're gonna go on a world boss killing spree, and it's gonna be interesting.
I honestly just, if they could make I don't even care if you have to buy this one, but if they could make an adoring fan companion from like Oblivion, I would be so happy. Because like I remember my adoring fan would like get like shot with like arrow traps and like dungeons in Oblivion, and I'd be like, where's he at? And I just like go back and he's like dead, and I'm like, oh, okay, whoops. It's just like, oh, that'd be crazy if they did that.
So I guess another question is, if you might know, I'm not sure if you would, but how does it work if you're in a group? Would we, if say the three of us were in a group, would all three of our companions be out, or would the only companion be out be the person who's the leader of the group? Because having 6 companions, and say we just made them, because if that's the case, we could have one companion tank, all the other companions are just healers and random buffers and stuff, and then we just run 4 DPS.
Right. So from how I understand it, I don't know everything with this, but from like seeing interviews with like Rich and everything, I believe, as we know right now, they can't be brought into solo or like into arenas and stuff. Now, I don't know how it's going to work with trials. I would assume that you, if you're in a group, you can't have a companion. That's that I don't, I kind of hope that's not the case, because I really want you to be able to use them in a group, because I'd love to see that. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, if you're in a trial and you have 24 things in there, right? You have 12 people, 12 companions. Like, I'm interested to see, because like that means they would have to rebalance like everything, like in a way, like you'd have to like, I feel like things would get easier. I don't know if that's what they're planning, but that's kind of how I assume it's going to go. But I do not know that for sure. I just know I think you can't bring them into solo arenas. So
They might be so irrelevant or so ineffective, it takes you longer to summon them than they're actually on the playing field. So,
good point. Yeah.
yeah, who knows? I think it's going to be cool either way, and hopefully, fashion is in game. Hopefully, you can visit you know, the outfit station and you can design or dress them up. That'd be cool.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah.
And you can assign them personalities that you've earned as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be really cool.
Um, so with the classes, the change to whatever changes for classes, but more importantly, the armor and race changes. Are you worried about any of that, or looking forward to any of the changes coming up?
So, I've been kind of playing around with the armor some. Honestly, like I don't really know how much of effect it's gonna have. But I have on on my DPSs, I've been using just all light armor. Because I'm just like, you know what, like if I'm gonna be a glass, if I'm gonna be doing damage, who cares if I'm a glass cannon kind of thing. A lot of my builds have just been total glass cannons, so I'm just like, I'm just going all light armor. I don't care if I take more damage from martial, or I think it's martial attacks. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I'm really interested to see if how much of effect they are going to have, especially maybe with like hybrid. I would almost assume, like almost in PvP, they might have more of an effect for y'all, but I don't know what you guys have seen with that. But um, as far as the race stuff, I did think it was interesting, the high elf change, where like now the high elf is like you can use it as like a better stamina character than like 4 other races. I thought that was really interesting. Um Besides that, to be honest, like I when I choose my race, I just have honestly a couple races that I like playing. And for me, I love high elf, I love Breton, I love dark elf, I love Nord. Um and orc. And to me, from the changes that they've had, I haven't really seen too much of a difference in my style of play. So I'm not too worried. But I know some people kind of want a race change token when the update comes out. I know there was like an outcry for that, I thought, but that's kind of my thoughts on it. I personally, I love using Nords as tanks. I like using Magicka characters for High Elf and Breton. Dark Elf I kind of just use for whatever, and then Orc I love using stamina characters. And so I haven't seen too much of a thing that would bother me too much. But what do you? I mean, what are y'all thought? What are y'all's thoughts on it?
You want to go first, Grim?
Nope, all you.
So I usually play PvP healers down in the sewers and stuff. And when I was looking at the armor changes for, I guess, not changes, but the additions where they're now making it have a line of bonuses and penalties. I usually run 5-1-1, 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light. And after looking at those changes, I can already see myself just transitioning to a 5 heavy, 2 medium, because the penalties for light armor would just cancel out the bonuses from medium armor. So I'd much rather have, more of a medium armor bonus than have penalties from light armor, which also for my style of play, light armor is more for roll dodging, whereas heavy armor and medium armor would give you more blocking potential. So for me, it makes more sense to switch to a 5-2 setup. And I think most PvPers, if they were going to do utilize all 3 weights, most PvPers don't even have their Undaunted skill line maxed out. So they wouldn't even be benefiting from the Undaunted metal passive that gives you 2% for every different weight piece that you need. Otherwise, so without that, I feel like they'd almost be shooting themselves in the foot, because if I was running, say, 2 medium, 2 light, and 3 heavy, well, all those light bonuses or all those medium armor bonuses that I guess you'd want to be benefiting from, because you're putting 2 medium on there, they just got canceled out by the light penalties. So then I asked the question again, why did you put 2 or 3 medium on there when you're only going to get okay, 2 light, 3 medium? The 2 light would cancel out 2 of the medium bonuses. So why would you want to put the medium on at that point? Yeah, you have the option to now to do like a 3-2-2 or whatever you want, but it really just, I think it's just going to come down to what's your individual play style, and then if you want to utilize the bonuses correctly, you'll pick the things that you actually need. That's my couple cents on it.
I noticed like that Magplar that I gave you the stats on, the 5,700 spell damage, 3,300 magic recovery, 2,400 stamina recovery, 1,800 health recovery. I'm actually running 3 heavy, 4 light on that. And normally I run all heavy in PvP, or I'll do a 5-2 setup for things. It's just made sense. But, the reason at the top of the armor skill lines, they still have those like evasion for medium armor, annulment for light armor, and unstoppable or whatever for the heavy armor. And those do require still, at least on the PTS, that you be wearing 5 of that armor type to have access to those. But outside of that, there wasn't a real something that actually held you solid on needing to be in 5. And now I did need to look at the medium armor to see if the current agility passive, if agility passive on the PTS still requires 5 medium in order to get that bonus, or you just get a bonus to weapon damage for each piece of medium that you wear. And so I'll need to look at that. But if that's the case and you don't need to, and you're not really worried about those 3 different abilities that are at the top of the armor, the build diversity kind of goes up. We're going to see a mixed matched, like I said, I'm running 3 heavy, 4 medium, and it was working really well. It was super strong. So there's that. I don't know what to do with that, but that's what I found.
Actually, now that you say it, I'll probably take a look at doing 4 heavy and 3 medium, if that's the case.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. As for me, like I said, for PvE, I as long as I don't stand in fire, I'm usually okay because I can do mechanics pretty good. But yeah, that I did think I do feel like for the armor, it's going to have way more of an effect in PvP. For PvE, I think as long as you know, I think if you go 7 light instead of 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium, I don't think it's going to be that, it's not going to be so
Detrimental.
yeah, detrimental is the way I've found it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I personally I have went 7 medium. Yeah, I've went 7 medium on a stamina character. For my tank, I think I went all heavy. I need to look at it. I can't remember, but yeah, that's some good points you guys made with that for PvP.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of my PvE friends, and if they're stamina, definitely 7 medium. If they're magicka, definitely 7 light. And then my tank friend, he said he's gonna stay doing 5-1-1 with 5 heavy because him in particular, he seems to be he cares a lot about the Undaunted metal passive because tanks, they utilize all 3 of their resources, health, magicka, and stamina. So for him, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does.
If you had to look into a crystal ball and you're looking at 3 months from now in ESO, what do you think the meta is going to be like? What are some common things you think we would see 3 months from now, like from companions to meta, like the most common gear sets? What do you think the game's going to be like?
I think it's a good question. For me, I think the meta is going this is the biggest thing that sticks out to me in general, and this is kind of not necessarily about sets, but about roles. Right now, at least in PvE, healers are something that do not get appreciated a lot. I love healing, but there's just PvE is so much about if you can do the DPS, you can almost skip every mechanic in the game. I mean, really, like if you've got enough DPS, you can basically skip mechanics. And in some mechanics, there are some that you do have to do, and it obviously there's a place for healers because in ESO healers and PvE, they don't just heal, they buff, they debuff, right? All kinds of stuff. I think honestly, in 3 months, that I still think that people are still going to be figuring out the meta in general when it comes to sets. I don't think it's going to be figured out. I think people are going to get like, they're going to be like, I'm going to try this out, like the standard 5-1-1, or they're going to be like, I'm going to try these sets out because they've always been meta. And then they're going to find that like they're not performing how they did because things have just, I feel like there's going to be such a change when it comes to how we're going to have to do in-game content for PvE. I actually think that healers might benefit a lot from this update and companions because I think it might actually bring them to the point where like they actually would be needed more in content because again, I've been looking at some of these builds that I've made for DPS and like, I mean, if you get touched, like you're dead. Like it's like, you got to be careful, at least on some of the ones I'm doing, because if you have 810 CP, you know, the thing I've found is in the CP tree, the blue tree has a lot of things in there that weren't in there before. And so you've got mitigation down, a lot of mitigation or like resistances down at the bottom. But you've also got your healing, you've also got your AoE, you've also got your crit, right? And so if you don't have a lot of blue points, you got to kind of pick like you got to either go, you know, you got to go into the, if you're a healer, you got to go to healing. If you want to crit more or you want more damage or damage over time, you got to go up to the top right part. And you have no room to put the mitigation because you only those skills are skills you have to slot to get them to work, right? You don't get the passive unless you slot those down at the bottom. Same with like thaumaturge, all that stuff, the crit stuff, the healing stuff. So what I'm finding is that like I think this is going to force people to go into more narrowed roles in some cases. I think it is. Like I think you're going to see like people playing more unique builds. It's going to expand the meta and it's going to allow healers. I think, to really come in their own in PvE. That's just what I see, because I just really think that um that you can't do it all. Like, I feel like in the CP system before, as a DPS, you could get like actually pretty good resistances and mitigations and stuff. And now, like, you can go more balanced, or you can go just full on DPS, but like you really are going to be taking some hits, kind of, if that makes sense. But that's how I see it. For sets, I really don't know what will be popular. I really think it, in general, they're just going to have a lot more sets that people are going to be trying and playing. And I really don't think it's going to be figured out, but I do think it's going to make it more fun in the PvE side. I think it's going to bring more diversity. So that's kind of my initial thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think more people are going to gravitate from running mostly heavy in the PvP side of things, and they are going to be running a little bit more squishy builds. And then, so on the defensive side, everyone's going to be taking a little bit more damage because we're moving out of the heavy armor. And then on the offensive side, everyone's getting an extra 1,000 weapon or spell damage on top of what they can achieve with their champion points. So we're going to see more damage. So we might be entering an era or a stage where it's possible to burst most anybody in the game if you line everything up right. So that's kind of cool. And I think on the PvE side of it, I was already soloing vet dungeons with a Magplar when I did PvE. I was soloing, certain vet dungeons with a Magplar that didn't even have half the stats of that Magplar build I'm talking about. So hopefully there's some type of scaling to account for that, because a full team of that type of stats, now all of a sudden, no death runs and speed runs and things like that, we're going to see a whole new bar, I think, being set, because those stats are gross. And then you add companions into the situation too. So I don't know how that's going to work, but
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. What do you think about? I think I saw on the blue tree. I think it was in the middle. They essentially threw in Ring of the Pale Order on there, part of the tree.
Yeah, is that the was that the one
Direct damage.
what was it doing again? I can't remember. It
I
was
think
like,
I think it said whenever you deal direct damage, you heal for X amount.
yeah, 7% or something like that of all direct damage that you do. Yeah.
oh yeah, I did see that. I did think that was interesting. I thought they nerfed that, but I might have been wrong on that. But yeah, that's interesting. Do you know if that's a slottable thing? Do you have to slot that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you had to slot that one,
Okay.
which I did.
Nice. Yeah, that's interesting. And that's the thing too, is like, you got something like that, right? And there's also another one that, like, you I think it's like something to do with oblivion damage. I think it's in the blue or the red tree. I can't remember, but there's one where I can't remember if it's when you block or you have a damage shield. I don't know, but I'm interested to see, like, how they said, on the live stream, that they're doing this so they can continually build upon the CP trees. They have the subset. So I'm interested to see kind of where this goes. And I think you brought up a good point, Graham, about like the just your stats are already kind of gross on that matchplar. And I do wonder if there's going to be some sort of scaling thing, because for me, if the no death stuff and everything does get easier, you know, I'm interested to see kind of, are they going to have to, revert some things? You know what I mean? I don't know if that would do that, but like, because I definitely don't think they want to make things technically easier, but I think that would actually make some people very upset. But I don't know.
Yeah, it looked to me, in just my limited time over the last week or so, there is something in the CP tree that returns damage. Whenever you take damage, you can choose to return magic damage back. There's one that returns martial damage or physical damage back. There's also like one where when you kill an enemy, they explode for 4K oblivion damage within a 4-meter radius. So it's like a little baby vicious death explosion. And I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of really interesting things there. I think somebody's going to stumble across something. There's bound to be something that's going to be extremely broken, but who knows what that is just yet.
Yeah, a lot of the, well, I won't say a lot of them. A couple of the champion point nodes have like already exist as armor sets, so it'd be interesting to see how much of an amplification that set will get when you pair those two together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really interested to see if someone breaks it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna see something stupid that comes out, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Actually, you know what it'll be? They took roughly 4K resistances away from werewolves. I haven't put a werewolf build together yet, but I have a feeling that I could probably put something really, really dumb together. I need to do that actually later today.
Yeah.
So you're over on Twitch. What's your Twitch schedule over there? And do you use YouTube to steer traffic to Twitch, or are you just streaming through Twitch, but YouTube's your primary thing?
Yeah, so Twitch schedule is normally Monday, Thursday, Saturday. Monday and Thursday is 7 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturday is 10 a.m. Eastern. I do alternate Thursdays to Wednesdays every other week right now, but mainly I funnel people to Twitch from YouTube. YouTube's like my main thing, I would say. Twitch is just kind of a fun way for people to interact with me and hang out and get to kind of put a face, um, you know, to the voice on the channel, and like, and then also like get to play with my community. Um, we have a really active community in the Discord and the guilds that we have, and so people really like coming there and asking questions, and we do trials and just all kinds of activities together and stuff like that. But YouTube is definitely the main catalyst for sure.
That's awesome. So YouTube's the main thing. Twitch is how people can see your beard. And then you got merchandise available. And then do you have a Patreon account?
Yes, I do have a Patreon. I do vlogs on there for people. I do Q&A videos. We do community night votes that patrons get 2 votes for. So vote on like a different game to play, or just once a month or something. And then I also have a website that is up, probablygothis.com, but it's I am in the process of redoing it completely. So it's gonna be changing a lot coming here in the future. But yeah, so, and then Discord and stuff.
Okay. Well, if you could copy and paste each of those links, I'll make sure that they end up in the description, so that way everybody can track you down. They can get a hold of you. Did you have any questions for us or any topics that you wanted to talk about?
Just I don't know. I like to get to know y'all better and everything. I don't get to spend a lot of time hanging out with a lot of the ESO like content creators for the most part, like just because, again, like from my day job and stuff like that, like I haven't been able to really go around too much like on live streams or just in general. I try to watch videos when I can, like I said, like with Zynode and all that stuff, but like um I guess, like, when did you guys start, like, how long have you done this podcast for? Like, and when did you guys start y'all's channels? Because I'm just like learning about new and more people like every week. I feel like it's just like ESO's got such a big community. I feel like so.
Yeah, it does. For me, I started a little over a year ago. It wasn't even really to do ESO. I was doing PvP and ESO, and some friends were, hey, you need to start recording this. This is crazy. You're killing all these people. And I was just like, but the coaching and consulting thing was my primary thing. And now that COVID, and the gyms and the combat sports industry and everything like that, so I go around and I teach people how to best utilize YouTube and how to grow and scale their channel and things like that. But I didn't want to just preach it and have the athletes create their YouTube channel without actually living it. So that's what I did.
Oh, cool.
I created my YouTube channel, Grimsforge Gaming, more so to learn the ins and outs of YouTube and the algorithm and how to do it right, how to do it wrong. And I do kind of half-ass it a little bit, like you do a lot more. You've got a very polished product. I love your thumbnails and your videos and your schedule on everything. It looks great, and so that's what I need to get a little better at, is doing all that. So that's how I came into the space. And then the podcast, Icy and I started it. We were actually on another podcast. This was quite a while ago, and we really enjoyed it. We enjoyed being on the podcast, and I had ideas for a podcast, and it being Icy and I and talking about all the different things in the game. And then I thought, you know what, let's reach out to other content creators and kind of create a guild or a hub for content creators to help each other out. Like, hey, do you need a graphics design guy? Do you need this? Do you need that? Hey, here's something I found out that has been working really well, and everybody kind of, the high tide raises all ships. And that was the conversation that I had with Deltia, with 100,000 subscribers, he, and being gone for 2 years and still had 100,000 subscribers, was, if he did decide to come back, he could be possibly the high tide that raises all ships if he worked right alongside with all the other content creators and collaborated with them. And it could be really, really beneficial to the game as a whole, the community, and everything. So that's my spiel. That's all I got.
So I think one of my first videos were actually Destiny videos. Nothing to be proud of, just a bunch of cringe stuff when I look back. But actually, Adam, do you remember in the tower there was a way to get on top of the kiosk areas where you would actually like glitch an area and then you could fly across and land on the kiosk?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think I did put up a video just like showing like how to do it, but there was no voiceover, nothing like that. But just like when you were asking the question, I thought about it. So I did a couple of Destiny videos, and then I did maybe one Warframe video, and then after Grim got his channel going and stuff, I thought, well, all right, maybe I can, corner the PvP support market or something like that. So then I tried to put some videos out, I think over the summer, and I've just kind of been slow rolling it, not really trying to push my channel too much, but yeah. I got a couple videos that I want to put out, and after talking with Kev Do It last week, and I know you mentioned it today with the scripting your videos and stuff. I've actually started scripting my videos out, and I like the process a lot. It makes it actually pretty fun to do when you're doing the voiceovers and recording and stuff. So, but yeah, my ESO content wise, I just started in the summer.
Oh, okay, cool. That's, yes. I just feel like there's been a lot of, new people kind of coming up with content. It's been really good, and I'd love to see ESO grow even more. I just think it's such an underrated MMO in my opinion compared to WoW and other ones. Like it's my favorite MMO. But like it's just I really just think that like if there's content creators out there that can help people kind of get started, and then you have people that have those niches, like you guys do PvP, a lot of that stuff, and then people have PvE, and then like the meta creators, and like I don't know, I just think it builds like a good overall community for the game. I mean, this community is for the most part in PvE, it's very not toxic compared to so many other ones. I know there's toxic people in every community, but it's been pretty cool to see, I think. So that's awesome though.
Yeah, and I love this game a lot. It's so much fun, especially since I used to play Skyrim back in the day, and
Mhm.
when I found out ESO, I do remember when ESO became a thing, but there weren't a lot of good reviews back in the day. But now I've only been playing for almost a year and a half, I'll say, and I honestly love this game a lot, but it frustrates me sometimes, even in PvE content with performance, because I can't even do VMA the last several days because when I log in there, the little buzzer will go. I don't see any ads. I'm taking damage. I can see them on my little compass at the top, the bar at the top, so I can see that there's ads there. And the only way for me to kill them is if I'm spamming Brawler, so I can get the shield up to protect me from the attacks I can't see, or I'm just spamming jabs, or I've got Wall of Elements down, or something like that. So things like that, yeah, they frustrate me. And we're not even talking PvP. This is just PvE, solo,
Mhm.
by myself. Why am I experiencing these issues?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there's definitely some things like that that I come across too. But I think overall, like you said, it's just like it's a game that it definitely it's definitely a lot of fun. It does
yeah,
have its issues though, but yeah.
yeah. I honestly have so much fun playing this game. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Along that lines, you were talking about those weird things I see. Deltia said something, and it might have been just a call between he and I, because I was picking his brain on what type of content to do or not do. That would I don't want to agitate or aggravate Zos. I want to let them know that we support what they're doing and we believe in we love this game or whatever, but there's problems. And so he said, yeah, look, don't sugarcoat anything, but also don't bury them on it. you know like, so if you're going to do a video, because specifically I was asking about those 3 videos that I did. One of them was called "You Can't Do That While Swimming," and I was in the sewers and a banner boss knocked me through the floor. And so I'm in the floor swimming beneath the banner boss. He like walks over the top of me and he's just standing over the top of me, spamming his abilities, but he can't hit me. And I'm literally swimming in the floor, and I look up and I'm looking up right into his crotch, and I just hit the interact button just to see what would and in the top right hand corner it says "You can't do that while swimming." And I thought, well, there's the title of the video. You can't do that while swimming. And he thought that was funny. And he said, yeah, you could put videos like that or whatever, because I was told, this is Deltia. He said, I was told that, in seeing those videos, it actually helps us see the exact instance and what's exactly happening, as opposed to someone trying to describe what is happening. We can actually see what's happening. And that he's like, we can fix things like that so much quicker than getting a post, on the forums about this bug or that bug, or a post in game. The videos help us solve it. And I thought, well, that's cool. I just need to make sure that I do it in a grown up fashion. I don't cuss or whine or cry about it. And just like Icy did a video not too long ago showing, how you get hit by a banner boss and you clip through the walls. You like fly through the air, and when you finally settle, you're inside the walls. And so, but he said we need to see videos on that. If you show them videos on it, they'll be able to fix it way quicker than a forum post. And so there's that.
That's a good point. I've tried to dabble a little bit in that, but as you've seen my channel, like I do a lot of informative things with how to do things in the game. But there's like I've done discussion videos where like I talk about things in the game, um, and I think that's really good advice because like I think I think as long as you are just kind of constructive with it, it's beneficial. I think they definitely can understand that there's going to be issues, and if you try to help them figure it out, it's definitely beneficial. But you know, like you said, not burying them is I think really important because I don't know. There's just a way to go about it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, do you want somebody telling you that you're an idiot because you freaking ran out the door, got killed without any pants on, or you want to say something like, "Hey, just make sure before you leave, make sure you got your food on, make sure you're wearing all the gear that you need, and you do a check, repair all the gear, that type of stuff." You
Yeah.
probably want the guy saying it to you nicely, as opposed to the jerk that's just throwing you back to high school or whatever, and just like making you relive things you don't want to relive. So
Yeah, the tensions get a little bit compounded in PvP, especially with the level of toxicity. There's a lot of toxic people in the PvP realm, and I run into them on a daily basis, and it frustrates the heck out of me. It really frustrates me when you can't do something about it.
Yeah.
That really frustrates me, to when the game is not performing and abilities are not working or bar swapping is not happening, and I want to do something about it and I can't. And so we're in this PvE realm. You run into weird things and you just kind of scratch your head and you're like, oh boy, but in PvP there's something's on the line, like ego or whatever it is. And so I find myself falling into that. I'm competitive, and somebody tries to bag me or someone tries to talk trash or whatever, there'll be times we get killed on lobbies down in the sewers, and I'll immediately tell Icy, let's crush these dudes, and we'll go jump on our big
Yeah.
boys and go hunt them down. And we need the game to perform in that moment because we're on a mission.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, do you have anything else for us?
I was trying to think. I was just more interested in like kind of y'all's backstory a little bit, and like kind of how you started and everything. I really think it's cool what you guys have done here, and I noticed that Deltia had that video that I think you're kind of leading or like helping him grow that side. I could be wrong with that, but I thought that was really cool. Um, and I'm just more interested in like kind of getting to know y'all in general, and just like hanging out. Trying like again, I'm trying to hang out with more creators and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, we'll be your PvP hookup.
okay, sweet.
Yeah,
well,
we'll
at least take me to dinner first.
they call him Moneybucks Icy.
Money bucks. That's funny.
Well, I ain't paying for this one though.
So yeah, let's just start hanging out. We'll start running some PvP and stuff like that. If you want to learn about Imperial City and the sewers and how to make money down there, there's an awesome video for you to put out if you don't already have it. You got so many super helpful videos already, but we could show you the tricks of the trade and how to make money in Imperial City and how to actually somewhat enjoy going down there and PvPing if you're ever interested in that. Or we can run around and do BGs with you too. It could be on lobbies, or we have every faction, and lobby battlegrounds are a lot of fun, and max level battlegrounds can be fun if everybody's on the same page. So
Yeah, definitely down. I need to learn the way of the PvP, so I want to get better at it. I just have to be able to get on a little more when I can. Hopefully, I can transition from my day job into this full time. That's the goal here. Um, hopefully soon, and then I can have a little bit more time to play casually as well. Because yeah, that's more of my thing right now. It's just the time constraints, but yeah, that would be really fun. I'd love to definitely. I want to make a PvP build, and I just want to kind of make it funny. Just like I made my first PvP build. Let's see what happens, kind of thing. But that would be really cool. So I'd like that.
I'd love to theory craft with you on that. So that's my thing. So I do the thematic builds, Hulk smash and Thor and whatever. So yeah, I'd love to. I want to help you with that.
Sweet. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think the sewers might actually be a good area for him to join us, Grim, because it's at the end of the day, we're mostly PvEing down there until players show up. So I think you'll be all right. And if players do show up, instead of running away, just hold block, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
proc them down for us.
Okay, that sounds good. That'd be great.
Well, that's all I had. How about you, Icy?
I'm good as well. Any closing remarks before I close it out?
I just want to say thanks for having me on and everything. I do appreciate it. It's been really, really cool. be on here and to meet you guys. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks for coming on. I know this has been a minute in the works. We've tried to coordinate this, so here it is. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming. And with that said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.
You're going to say, bye-bye, Argonians.
Bye bye, Rogonian.